Harley Davidson FXDR 114. Looks good. See what it's like. Got a good comparison to my Fat Bob. Oh, it's quite a different riding position. Welcome to Fen Tour. Today I'm out test riding the new 2019 Harley Davidson FXDR 114. Those of you who see my other videos will know I have a Harley Davidson 2019 Fat Bob 114. So what's the difference between these two bikes? Well, they look hugely different despite having the same engine. My Fat Bob's stage 2, as you may have seen on one of my other videos, which makes quite a difference to the mid-range and top end. Well, top end for me, that is up to 5,000 revs. This bike has an optional Screaming Eagle exhaust, which I would guess is like stage 1, but it's a bit quieter than the Vance and Hines pipes I have. Still a nice sound, certainly won't upset anyone. The riding position there, it's really quite unusual because my feet are forward, like on the Fat Bob, but with these, as you can see, clip-on handlebars, you're actually leaning forward a bit like a cafe racer. I guess it's got that dragster look. Those of you who may have also seen one of my older videos will recall I had a Victory Hammer. Victory stopped making bikes a couple of years ago, but the Hammer sort of almost out Harley Davidson with a huge rear tyre, dragster looks, twin front discs, upside down forks, all these sort of things. Well, they're defunct now, and really this almost replaces that. Harley Davidson have taken that same formula, the dragster, the muscle bike look, fat rear tyre, some serious braking, forks, good handling despite having the big rear tyre. So we have on this bike, now I've looked at the wheels, a 120 section 19-inch front and a 240 section 18-inch rear. Harley Davidson claims that combination works well with cornering. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it doesn't turn in anything like my Fat Bob, but I think it's just really getting used to it. It's fine for testing these corners. This one can often be a bit iffy. I mean, it's actually, I have to do a bit more counter steering than the Fat Bob, but it turns okay. On the Fat Bob, and it'll feel like a sports bike afterwards, no doubt. Okay, got clear room to overtake. Yeah, let's go for it. Well, it certainly hustles. Doesn't have quite the performance of a stage 2 Fat Bob, but it's still very good. I think if you're buying one of these, get a stage 2 when you pick it up. Don't be tight. You're spending a lot of money on a machine. These are around the 20k mark depending on the paint you choose, but you can't buy a Harley and come out without any extras. I mean, on my Fat Bob I've got the cruise control, I've got heated grips, I've got the Vance and Hines pipes, stage 2 cams, so quite a lot of costly, oh, and also backrest and sissy bar backrest with rack, removable, so that if I want to carry luggage or a passenger, it's straightforward. So same with this really. If your budget's absolute maxed out at 20k and you buy this, you're not going to be able to buy any extras. You need to have that bit more on top. Anyway, if you could afford 20k for a bike, I think you can push it up just a tad more, can't you, to get those extra niceties. It's a most unusual riding position. You're sort of leaning forward like I'd expect to be on a sports orientated bike. I wouldn't say sports bike, but sports orientated. And your feet are forward as you'd expect on a cruiser, so it's a little bit unusual. Now with any bike that I purchase or I lust after, there are two things. One is the ride and what it does, but almost more importantly is how the bike looks. Now with this bike, as we will see when we look at the outside shortly, I think it's very, very, very different to any other Harley you'll have ever seen. They've gone for some big differences and have made something that stands out from the crowd, and I think you'd be very happy to ride and own if that look suits you. Fat rear tyre. Anyway, let's look at it for real. This is a pretty village, not far from Newmarket, so you can come out for some great rides if you're test riding a bike from Harley Davidson in Newmarket. There's a Ford here sometimes, but not at the moment. Here's an outside view of this rather amazing looking bike. I love that that paint scheme in this sunlight. Now on my Fat Bob I got them to remove this awful, or on the Fat Bob, the awful rear wheel number plate, but I think on this bike, on the FXDR, it's okay. Right, that's not a good angle with the sun there, is it? So I'll turn the bike round so we can have a proper look on this side, then we'll carry on. Well, I've turned the bike around so we can now see the outside, and just look how fat it looks from the behind. That's one serious presence. This bike is all about image, or as are most Harley Davidsons, or all Harley Davidsons. There's so much to choose from when you buy a Harley Davidson motorbike. They may, in many cases, like these Softail bikes, all use the same engine, pretty much, in either 107 or 114 guys. But just look how different this is. How different, can't say the word, different this is to any other Harley Davidson. What a profile. That sculpted rear seat. Well, there isn't a rear seat, is there? I think there may be something just under that cover. Maybe not. Doesn't seem to be any pillion footprints, what I can see. So, yeah, not a bike for taking your other half on. Quite like the way the rear wheel is covered by this sort of fender. It's quite subtle. I don't think the Number plate spoils things too much where it is, but you may wish to beat European laws and get yourself a side mounted one. Actually that's a problem, isn't it? Because, oh no it isn't, I'm just looking here, the bit that holds that fender, let me just zoom out with the bike, with the phone, is that a separate piece? It is. So that potentially could be removed on a side mounted plate. You'd probably have to fit some lights under that scooped white arch, but then you just got all rear tyres sticking out. That would look bonkers, wouldn't it? Let's look at this profile from above. It's all rather extreme, isn't it? It's advertising the 114 engine in a nice orange way. So on the other side I noticed these red HT leads. Go faster, maybe not, but they look nice. All looks good. 114 in orange on the side casing. Upside down forks. So they've sort of taken some of the aspects of the Victory Hammer as was and made a Harley Davidson with those winning bits. This headlight looks cool. It's like the angry eye of a wasp. Huge air cleaner, air intake. So for looks, it's very, very different. It's quite brave of Harley Davidson to make something to look so different, and all the better for it. Now it doesn't quite do it for me. I much prefer my Fat Bob, but that's fine. Wouldn't it be horrible if everyone liked the same bike? But above all, it's certainly going to attract attention, isn't it? This bike has this different to standard. You have to look on the internet for the standard one. Harley website. Screaming Eagle exhaust, slightly freer flowing, so enhanced performance in a small way, I guess. Just looking at this rear wheel, it's absolutely solid. There are no spokes there at all. So yeah, it's an amazing machine. You may have noticed on my videos, but if we turn it on, we can complain because I left it in gear. We have this saying side stand, very small display that shows fuel level on the left, speed, where it's coming with side stand would show the RPM in numbers. So actually I thought that would be too small, but you can see everything fine when you're riding. You can see the speed easily. I think it'd be better, rather than the scrolling numbers for the rev counter, or for the not rev counter, for the RPM in terms of numbers, to have a bar graph. Be easier to see, just glance at as you're riding. Now, any criticisms on the looks of this bike? Well, I can't criticise the looks because it's personal choice, isn't it? But one thing I think, only one thing, you know, with Harley Davidson, with these Milwaukee 8s, they've come a long way with the quality and finish, machining, engineering, brilliant. But you're spending a lot of money on a bike, and then there's this sort of, the number plate fine, but this plastic indicator, yeah, it is plastic, not metal. I just think that looks a little bit... Look at the indicators at the front. Yeah, the same, look. Plastic. I think I would have to change those. I'm sure there are accessories at Harley Davidson, again, that you need to, maybe that's why they have them, get you to buy some much nicer indicators that mount on there. So there's certainly a lot of mods you could do to that part of it. So looks like there may be some sort of pillion seat under there, but there are no foot pegs on this bike, so whether you can mount them, but seriously, you don't want to be doing that. Right, oh, that's right, I'm going to adjust this now. On my Fat Bob I have this on the lower setting. This is the rear shock. God, it's quite stiff. Get that adjusted. Once again, I mean, this bike is all about looks. Really is. And of course riding. Just look at that. It's got a great profile. Right, let's do some more riding and see how we get on. So now I've reset the suspension to the same setting as I have on my Fat Bob. Still feels a bit firmer, but not, you know, not in a bad way. It probably does have slightly firmer suspension because it's orientated as a Harley Davidson machine for performance and cornering. I certainly picked a good day for testing this beautiful bike. So depending on what sort of riding you like, getting yourself a test ride from Newmarket Harley Davidson, I would advise heading to the east. Go through the town or around it and get on these quieter B roads out towards various Edmonds, Haverhill direction. Really not too much traffic, and you can get to enjoy roads that are perfect for this sort of bike, or any sort of bike really. Right, so we're coming up the speed limit. We're in third gear according to the gear indicator. Yeah, that's certainly a quick machine. It's cornering so nicely. I can feel it sort of rolling over with that big fat rear tyre. It seems to feel slightly different in terms of the way it attacks the corner, but it's not resisting cornering at all. Look at that. Very, very nice. Actually, riding swiftly, these handlebars sort of drop down at lower stance at the front. I think they certainly help. They give you that more feel through the front. Nice, 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 nice. Lovely. Takes a little bit more thought to corner. The response to turning in is a bit more lethargic than my Fat Bob, that's for sure. But it's not a problem actually. Once you're moving around the bend, it keeps that line quite well, and that was certainly enjoyable. And you know that I'm not fast around corners with any bike, so if you're a sports bike rider, maybe you could probably test this out and see what it can do, but for me, it's absolutely cracking. Now, for going pottering along slowly, one of the things that is nice to do sometimes is to go quietly, steadily on country lanes. This is a village, so I'm going below the speed limit, but actually the sort of leaning forward stance is less preferable, or not really preferable at all. But when you start moving, up to the speed limit, that comes into its own. So the forward stance then actually helps, I would say, with being able to control the mass of this bike, and that with a huge rear tyre getting the turn in. Wonderful. A nice sweeping corner, very stable line, very good. I don't know if this is heavier than Fat Bob, but I'll put the figures up, but it does feel heavier. Feels like a bigger bike to me. Like I say, if you're test riding a bike from Newmarket Harley, come out here. This is a cracking B road. I'll show you where it is on the map. I'll put the map up. This is a Saturday late morning, and it's nice and quiet, so you can enjoy it at your speed, slow or fast, how you want to go. Certainly going slowly, below the speed limit in villages, quiet country roads. If you want to potter along, I don't think this is the bike for you, or for me either. I think you want a Harley where you sit more upright, more comfortable. I mean, this is far more extreme than any of my bikes. I sit upright on all of them, really. So this is unusual for me. Sort of like riding a sports bike with your feet forward. I guess it's actually designed to look like a drag bike. It's got that feet forward custom look, but you can get down low, and you really can actually. But I think keeping your body weight forward over the front wheel probably helps with that turning. I think for those of you who like to ride a bike with some speed, this is certainly a Harley that's not going to disappoint you. Right, I'm pulling out onto a nice A road, A143 to Haverhill. Let's see what it's like. Oh yes. This low down position helps. Well, the low down front position helps, I should say. design of this bike encourages some speed. Of course, on my fat bob I'm sitting much more upright. With this, just a small tuck, you've got this small binnacle here that I think actually does blow quite a lot of air over you. It's less pushing against your chest. This bike is encourageable. It corners just ridiculously well for that huge fat tyre. Now I've got used to the turning being slower than my fat bob, but it's good, really good. Look at that, it's so good. How can it possibly do so well, even especially with me riding? But what this does encourage is more speed than the fat bob, just because of the riding position. It's got that more aggressive feel. So I think, despite it being, as it's not stage 2, slightly less punch above 2,500, it does encourage you to go quickly. It doesn't feel so nice going slowly. I'm back in a nice village below the speed limit. Look at these pretty villages as well. That's another reason to go to Newmarket Harley for a test ride. These lovely, lovely quiet roads. I'll put some of the roads up on the map again, so you can see. But plan your route ahead, and then come out here when you book a test ride. So I'm now on the B. I don't know what the B road is. The B road back towards Newmarket. I'll put the B number up on the screen so you can look up this road when you're out for a test ride. A few nice villages to test slow speed. Then once you're out, off you go. Let's get some conclusions on the Harley Davidson FXDR 114. Who should be buying this bike? Who should be test riding it? What's it all about? How does it fit into Harley? Well, the first thing I think with the Harley Davidson, more than almost any other bike brand, is, does it appeal to you in the visual aspect? I mean, this thing is brutal in its looks, and you might like that brutal look, that dragster look. It's absolutely unique. I mean, there's nothing else like it. The Victory Hammer, but that's no longer there. Uniquely Harley Davidson, but yet something very different. So could it be that you've always lusted after a Harley but never liked the looks? You're a sports bike rider and you want something that's fun, corners, but looks cool, it's different. This could be it. I mean, to be honest, even without stage 2, there's plenty of go on this bike. Plenty. So if it's a Harley you've never had a Harley before, and this is appealing to you in looks, get down and test ride one. For riders' bikes, I would say this and the Fat Bob are the two Harleys that go around corners. Probably the best. We certainly claim this one to be a performance, sports orientated machine. And it certainly makes you want to go quickly for this sort of thing anyway. Not like a sports bike would make you want to ride quickly. So yeah, looks first. If you like the look of this in my video, then you need to get out and ride one. Would you be happy parking outside a pub and getting some looks? I'm sure you would. Certainly gets people talking. Is it going to be any good for touring? I don't know what you can fit on the back. Probably nowhere near as good as most of the other Harleys in terms of being able to fit luggage and what have you. So I would think this is really a day out bike. Days like today, beautiful sunny spring day, and it is spring now, just. Beautiful sunny spring day, dry roads, quiet roads like this, perfect. That's what it's all about. This Milwaukee 8 engine is a masterpiece. Has that Harley feel that's always critical for anyone purchasing a Harley Davidson. The thump, the sound, but without too much vibration. In fact, I haven't really mentioned it, have I? Because I've got used to it on the fat bump. But there are no vibrations coming up through the foot pegs, through the handlebars to make you get numb or uncomfortable. But it's still got a thump, which is brilliant. Loads of power. Loads. Proper dragster-like performance. So go for looks, performance. This has got it. I think though, my other conclusion has to be that you need to be prepared to spend more than the list price. Whether or not you get a deal on that's one matter. But the sort of things I would like, and I have, heated grips. I like the heated grips, luxury. Cruise control, another option you can have on this bike. That's more money. Bin the indicators, because I think they look a bit plastic, cheap and nasty on a £20,000 machine. More money. Stage 2, I would say at least, is a good investment on this bike and will make it even more grin factor. Another £900. So decent free-flowing exhausts. You're looking at at least £3,000 worth of extras on top of whatever you pay for the bike. That's my suggestion. You need to be looking at. That's pretty much of most Harley Davidsons. People spend a lot of money on extras, personalising them, and this is no different to any other Harley. That's fine. That's a good thing. One of the things you've got to think about with Harley Davidson as well is they do hold their value. They are expensive, but once they hold their value, you'll still lose money buying anything new these days. Over time, probably by the time you get into your coffin, it may be worth more than you paid for it. Who knows? But unlikely. It's a toy for most people, and that's what one needs to consider. But if you go to trade it in for another Harley in the future or other bike, you're going to get a decent chunky cash back, unlike many other manufacturers and brands I could mention. Another noticeable thing, again, I said it earlier, this tiny amount of binnacle here and the low down front means the wind protection is actually quite something. Getting nowhere near as much pushing against my shoulders and chest as they do on the Fat Bob. So again, more encouragement to go quickly. Not necessarily a good thing for the driving licence, but it's good in other ways. be absolutely no doubt, this is a fun bike to ride, a really fun bike to ride. So I think if you're lusting after its looks, you've got to get a test ride. So thank you to the guys at Newmarket Harley Davidson for letting me borrow the FXDR for today. Brilliant, thank you, really much appreciated. And I'm always hopeful I'll fall in love with a bike and buy one, which I probably will at some point. But I need to have the Fat Bob for a bit longer yet. My preference still between this and the Fat Bob, even if they're the same price, would be the Fat Bob. But I think a lot of people are going to prefer the look of this beast. Certainly more brutal, serious presence. So this is, I can see why it's the extra dosh. Anyway, thank you very much to Chris at Newmarket Harley Davidson. Let me borrow this bike. I'll put his contact info below. Get in contact with him and he'll sort you out for a nice test ride. It's a quick comparison to the Fat Bob after riding FXDR. Well, it's up to you which you prefer. Test ride them both, but the Fat Bob feels smaller. It's more comfortable to sit in. Go steadily on. Feels lighter, probably isn't. It's much more nimble, although, you know, once in the corner, the FXDR was very stable, I have to say. Certainly no worse than the Fat Bob. So this has much less wind protection, hence less encourageable to go too fast. And it is that look thing. But the money saved between a Fat Bob 114 and the FXDR 114, you can have a lot of accessories. So think carefully, guys. Thank you for watching Fentor. Hope you enjoyed this review, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.